What's up, peeps? Doing this video today as an open tag by um, our favorite knife reviewer, Mr. Gary, over at The Last Ranger. Guys, if you're not subscribed to Gary, you're not watching his videos, shame on you. Gary's an awesome guy, and he posted a video yesterday with an open tag for their 3 most carried knives of 2023. Now, Gary being Gary, he was very precise about he did not want more than 3. He did not want runner-ups. So I get it. I'm going to follow Gary's rules, and I'm going to go over my 3 most carried knives so far in 2023. Starting with one that I'm sure is going to be no surprise because it is one of my favorite pocket knives of all time. I carry it quite a bit. That is my American Blade Works Model 1 version 6 in MagnaCut. Why is this one of my favorite knives? Most of you already know. It's because it's got great ergonomics. It was made right here in the United States by Mr. Michael Martin, right there in his shop. He didn't ask anybody to make anything for him. He designed the knife. He made the knife. He sells it at what I believe is a more than competitive price for what you're getting out of an American-made product. And this one happens to be in MagnaCut at 63.8 HRC. What does that mean? That means that this knife literally covers all the bases of my passions in knife collecting, knife carrying, knife using. So number one, no doubt about it, is the American Blade Works Model 1 version 6. Keep in mind, guys, this is not a best knife ever made. This is none of that. This is just what I've carried the most because, guys, I don't even keep my knives in my knife box. I own one. I hate it. Simply because when I get ready to leave the house, I want to just be able to look down and see what I have there. Makes me feel good seeing them for one, but also makes it very simple for me to just pick one out and carry it for that day. And this one just happens to be the one that I pick more often than anything else. My number 2 most carried knife of 2023 is this knife right here. It's my MANIX XL. This knife was a gift to me from Mr. Chuckett. Chuckett's he's a great member of the knife community. Supports channels. He supports causes when we need him to. Chuckett's an awesome dude. And I'm not going to get into the story about how my knife, I'm not going to go into the whole story, but I had a MANIX XL that got stolen. When I found out Chuckett was wanting to sell his, I was very interested. However, I did not have the funds to purchase it. And Chuckett, being the guy that he is, he ended up just giving me the knife. Didn't even tell me. It just showed up in the mail. I love the MANIX. I love the MANIX XL. However, this one has a little more meaning to me because it was a gift, so it has a lot of sentimental value. And the way that it was gifted, he didn't say anything. He just shipped it to me. Luckily, this is an excellent pocket knife. So, it's not like the sentiment is the only reason that I carry it. I carry it because I love it. I'd already owned one, already knew I loved it, and I love this one just as much, possibly a little more. So next up is this one might surprise you a bit. This one, I had actually never owned, so I decided to give it a shot. And when I got it in, I was literally blown away because it made me ask so many questions about knife collecting and the knife industry as a whole. This is the Rat the Rat Model 1 in AUS 8. I'll be honest, what prompted me to purchase it was going over the edge retention charts for Outpost 76 and was just literally amazed that this knife outperformed a large percentage of super steels, and almost all of those coming out of China, but not all of them. There are some American-made knives out there that this thing literally holds an edge longer than the 20 CV on a Hinder. What's great about this knife is that it's $35. What's not great about this knife is that it has been forgotten about because it's an old design. We've moved on to what we think are bigger and better things. Sometimes that's just not the case. It's not the truth. So I forced myself to carry it for a little while, well, for a good while, And I'll be honest with you guys, this is as hard as this is to say, this is all the knife I need. It really is. It's not made in the United States. I wish it was, but it's made in Taiwan. And without getting into any politics, Taiwan is our friend. Taiwan needs our help. Um, Taiwan is probably going to be invaded within the next 18 months. And, you know, without our help, they're not going to stand a chance. So I don't have a problem with the fact that this comes from Taiwan. Ontario Knife Company is an American company. So, if you look into the economics of it and all that stuff, it does benefit the American economy. Um, but besides all that, it's a great knife. It does hold an edge way longer than I thought it would. Guys, I even forced myself to use this thing in the kitchen right there on my, you know, uh, tile countertop with no cutting board. It's just mind blowing how good it really is. This held up exceptionally well. The factory edge wasn't great. I laid the edge back a little bit, put my edge on it, and I've only had to strop it since. And it has, um, it's gotten more pocket time than maybe even it deserves. In all honesty, um, I've got a buddy that I gifted a SE a Vispa to, and every few months, well, about every 6 months, I sharpened that knife for him. And while I had it, I loaned him this one, so it got carried every day by him as well. For the couple of weeks that he had it, he was incredibly impressed with it. I love loaning him knives because he's not part of the knife community. He's not a knife collector. It gives me an opportunity to get an opinion about a cutting tool from a guy that is only interested in it being a cutting tool. And he was more than impressed. So, yeah, guys, this is my top 3 carries so far for 2023. I'm sure it will change up some, in the next quarter. I have a feeling that one will still be there. I'd be really shocked if it wasn't, because it is my favorite knife. Um, and this is not about what my favorite knife is or even what the best knife is. Because in all honesty, I love the PM2, this PM2, because it's an S90V, a little more than this knife. However, I've carried this one more for sentimental reasons, and like I said, it's also just a great cutting tool, a great self defense tool. If you need it, whatever you need it for, it's there for you. So yeah, Gary, thank you very much for making that video. Thank you for making the open tag. As soon as I saw it, I was excited to do this. Gary mentioned in his video his most carried knife of the year, and I had done a review on that, and Gary mentioned that I didn't like it. I may have been a little. Uh, I don't think I was unfair, but I don't think I expressed myself very well. It was a great knife. Um, I just felt like for where it came from, the price was maybe a little bit high. But guys, you can't take into consideration um, your passion for something. That's not necessarily going to translate to the next guy. So I get that real steel. I apologize, I can't remember the name of it, but I understand why it was his most carried knife. And you know, like I'm saying, Gary, if you thought I was bashing your knife, that's absolutely not the case. It was a great knife. Had probably the sharpest edge, even over any Spyderco I've ever unboxed. Probably had the sharpest edge I've ever experienced out of the box. So anyway, this is an open tag, guys. Make this video. Make sure you tag Gary in it. We all know, those of us who make content, we all know there is nothing worse than putting out content and not feeling like it's appreciated, or not feeling like people are watching it. So yeah, open tag, guys. I want to know, all my friends, all my knife channel buddies, what are your 3 most carried knives in 2023 from January through March in the first quarter. So that's all I got for you guys today. You guys know I appreciate any amount of time y'all spend with me. Peace. Love y'all.